I want to just make connections, because the more people that know who we are, see that we're a genuine group of people that really just wants to help, it's more of the long-term approach. I'm looking for people to know who we are, so that if there's a referral down the road that you might think of, maybe you'll think of us first. And if not, that's all right too, because then I know more people and can, connect people with you guys and whatever. I just think that person to person, personal touch goes so far to just get yourself out there. It's still just a get yourself out there kind of approach, I think.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Over a Pint, the podcast that talks about marketing. You got me, Pat McGovern. You got my buddy, Mr. Kurt Lingle. Kurt, we got another interesting guest on the pod today. We're talking to Dr. Pete Gonzalez. Now, initially, what's a doctor doing on a marketing show? I am, as always, one of my fascinations is people who are not in marketing spaces, how they focus on marketing. I think this is going to have some really good real world experience for other businesses that are out there that are listening to them. I'm excited to get into this. How about we start this, man? What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Let's go. Let's go. On the show today, Mr. Dr. Pete Gonzalez. Pete, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy to be here. So I appreciate your guys' time and bringing me on to have some fun chat with you guys.
This is going to be great, Doc. We very much appreciate your time. Doc, as I told you just a couple minutes ago, this is called Over a Pint for a reason. We got a little bit of a shtick here. All right. We kind of like our beer. It's Milwaukee. That's okay. We should enjoy Milwaukee. It. Doc, what do you got in front of you? What are you enjoying? I know this is kind of a work day for you, but what are you enjoying right now?
Well, I'm pretending, since I still got to see patients, that I have my pint that from the weekend. So Raised Grain Brewing Company has been one of my favorites lately. And they have an orange juicy that really that was fantastic. And my wife and father-in-law and mother-in-law and my mom, we were all out at at Raised Grain for dinner, and my mother-in-law, my mom, and my wife, they're not big beer drinkers, and they were all like, I want one of those. The naked threesome was just like, they were all blown away by how delicious this beer was. So the orange juicy tastes very similar, but I think is just a little different blend of the hops. And I'd say that's one of my favorite beers right now.
Excellent. Kurt, you are definitely familiar with that place.
Yeah, Raised Grain. We've promoted Raised Grain on our podcast before. They've great brewery out in the Waukesha area. I think I had on the show their Black Walnut. I think that's what it's called. It's their stout. Yeah. That's a heavy hitter. Good brewery. Sure. Good stuff. I'm promoting Three Sheeps today. I've got their Offshore West Coast style IPA up in Sheboygan. I was up there on Saturday after hiking up in the Kettle Moraine, and we stopped by Three Sheeps and enjoyed a beverage. I really liked what they're doing up there. So cheers.
That's a great beer. I like Three Sheeps a lot.
Guys, I want to turn you on to something. This is from Lakeside Brewing, Lakefront Brewery. This is their Eastside Dark NA beer. So if you want that beer taste, but hey, you got stuff to do, this right there. Oh, best. Kurt, you and I planted brewing that NA beer. This is comparable. It's a little bit on the dark side, but this time of year it's perfect. So
yeah,
that's what I am enjoying today. Cool. We got that out of the way. Let's get into the meat of the conversation. Doc, why don't you start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Set the table for us, and then we'll really get in. We'll start diving down.
Yeah. So. Dr. Peter Gonzalez, my wife, Dr. Victoria Gonzalez, and I started our practice 6.5 years ago. So I'm from New Jersey originally, went to college in New Jersey, was born and raised there, and then decided to go to chiropractic school down in Atlanta, Georgia, which they've got a really good beer scene down there too. So it's a good place to get swing by. But in school, we kind of, we met each other in chiropractic school. We were getting toward the end of school, and we're like, we haven't been dating that long, but school's almost up here, and what are we going to do? So I followed her to Wisconsin, And we decided, because we had some really good mentorship, we said, let's open our practice right out of the gate, right out of school, take the leap. We're not afraid of risk. So we said, well, let's jump into it now while we don't have kids yet. I mean, we do now, but before having a kids or a house or it's like we got nothing to lose. So we dove in and it hit the ground running, and we had our ups and downs and struggles. And from a marketing perspective, that is an animal that we had to tackle with no experience. And I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish there. But our practice, family practice, we like to see pregnant moms, babies, kids, athletes, anywhere in between. We have a lot of fun doing it.
Wow. Doc, we're going to get into more in the marketing thing in just a moment, but tell us just the process. You're in Atlanta. How did you decide on Milwaukee? Was it family ties or what?
Yeah, so my wife's from here originally, from the Brookfield area.
Okay.
A lot of family still in the area, so we decided, hey, that's
got it. Makes sense.
She kind of wanted to come here, and I was like, I've never been, but sure.
Right. So what always is interesting to me is you have somebody who goes to school, be it for an accounting position, a doctor, a dentist, and you spend a ton of time, energy, and effort really honing your craft and learning as much as you can. And Doc, now you're starting a business. So now you've got to learn not only marketing, but all the other shit that goes with a business. Like, hey, if I got to hire people, how do we do that? Like benefits, like HR stuff. What was it like? Just give us a sense of it. It was like when you and your wife decided to hang a shingle out there, but what were some of the big surprises when you just opened a business?
I'd say big surprises. I mean, we kind of knew what we were getting ourselves into and knew what we weren't going to know. And
yeah,
I mean, the initial phase of starting the whole thing was, we got our LLC started, and then we were actually living with my in-laws in Illinois for the first whole year of practice because it was a free place to stay. So we were driving an hour and a half back and forth to work. One of our biggest surprises was when we found our space, which we were going from Atlanta, flying up here, looking at spaces, going back, and we found a space and it was already built out enough that we were able to get in sooner than we wanted to. And the challenge there was, well, shoot, rent's going to come due, and we didn't get a chance to integrate into the community quite yet. So we spent, I mean, every day, all day. I mean, I have notebooks still that I kept for the nostalgia sake of it from, log from day one in Tori's parents' basement. Here's the list of all the stuff we got to figure out. And there's a lot of stuff you just walk into face first into a wall and you say, well, shoot, I didn't know. Like, I think we had an issue with something with the Wisconsin tax. We were filing it incorrectly because who the heck knows how to do that? And we got a letter in the mail that said like they were going to seize our assets. And we're like, I didn't do anything yet. And then my father's our accountant, and I just sent it to him like, what is this thing? And he's like, oh, we just have to do this, switched it, and it was fine. But there were a lot of little things like that you just hit this wall. I mean, setting up an x-ray machine, you got to register with that with the state. You got to lead line the wall. We did the lead lining of the room ourselves with my father-in-law, who's he's a very handy guy and does contract work. It's like, never thought in a million years I'd know how to lead line a room, but we did it.
So you get the walls lead lined, you start the practice. Doc, talk to us about marketing. So you come here, you don't have a base. So how did you even begin? You're not a marketer, right? I mean, you didn't go to school for marketing. You picked up by yourself from books, YouTube, whatever, right? So you and your wife sit down. It's like, how did you just even start thinking about it? Why don't you start there?
Where we did our internship. So as chiropractors, our last little bit of school, you're working underneath another chiropractor's license, but you're in practice essentially. And this was in Atlanta. They would mentor us really well at lunch. They would say, here's a whiteboard. Let's talk about how to get new people, how to have better patient retention. And then we also have the 100-Year Lifestyle is an affiliate group we're a part of that does a lot of business coaching. So we leaned on a lot of mentorship to say, well, where do we even start? So we basically, I mean, we didn't have any patients yet. So we look at our schedule and be like, all right, we got one person on Tuesday. well, I guess the rest of the day I'm going to go out. I went to every business around the area and was just handing out business cards and brochures. We went asking if, hey, could we buy your team lunch and do a little presentation? We started hooking up with a lot of just boots on the ground stuff. So, hey, here's a vendor show or a marathon or a 5K or a fundraiser. Let's go sponsor it. Find the cheapest ones we can find just so we can get our foot in the door and set up a table and a tent and just talk to people. And I mean, we built our business on doing just boots on the ground, just talk to people and say, here's, a promotional offer. And we played with different promotional offers and do we discount it? Do you not discount it? What are we allowed to do with healthcare? And a big learning curve on that stuff because we did lots of vendor shows and marketing and farmers markets, and you sometimes walk away with nobody. Like, well, what did we do wrong? What did we do right? Let's get on the whiteboard and start brainstorming again.
Interesting.
Question I have for you before we get into the tactics, and it sounds like it makes sense. You're coming in, and where do you begin? So it's kind of like you said, putting your brand on the street and starting to shake hands and getting your name out there. My question for you is this: so you start your business, and it's like any business. We've interviewed all walks of life on this show. It's like from all categories. If you could, just describe, what is the differentiator for your brand? It's like, we talk a lot with our guests and even our clients. It's like every brand has a face and voice. Every brand has a personality. So you're clearly going out and you're clearly selling your service, your brand. But I would imagine above and beyond just tactically what it is you do, what's the personality? What's the vibe? What is your brand all about?
So we're really big on the longevity message, which a lot of chiropractors are. So that's not necessarily unique in itself, but how we're marketing that to say, hey, we want you and your family through every phase of life to be able to do the things that you love. And by providing for people a really comfortable atmosphere where we're not just saying, hey, get on the table and get out. We're not trying to churn through numbers, but let me take care of your family and be your primary healthcare provider to say, hey, if I can't fix this or work with you, I'm going to refer you out. If I have a better solution for you, whether it be another chiropractor, your medical doctor, a physical therapist, whatever, we'll be that connector for you. But how do we make sure that you are going to come in and as a family, fast forward 20, 30, 40 years, what are you going to be still wanting to do? Because think about how many people do you know personally that are in hospital beds, wheelchairs, nursing homes, that if you really look at their lifestyle, they could have prevented that. And many times that is the case. Only 30% of our aging is in our genetics, 70% is our lifestyle choices. So above and beyond just chiropractic adjustments, even though that's the core of what we're doing, we want to support you in the 100-year lifestyle. It's what are you going to do so that you can actually keep functioning? Because everyone wants to have no pain. But the thing that people don't really forecast out is the pain or the dysfunction or that dimmer switch on my body and how it's functioning. Is that going to interfere with, I want to pick up my grandkids, I want to golf, I want to play guitar, I want to do whatever, and now I can't. Right. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate the answer, and I guess you did approach that. I guess a lot of times it's one of those things, Doc, where we find it where just a lot of companies, they want to get to the meat and potatoes right away. Like for like Pat and myself, it's like we look at our industries, like people might say, well, what is it that you do? And a simple answer might be, well, I work for an advertising agency and we do A, B, and C. Or the other way of approaching it can be like, you know what? Let me talk to you about our company. We connect people with brands. We bring people to. So I appreciate your answer because I think that shows it's like, yeah, it's like we're starting to build our story. And that's really what you're selling above and beyond just, the equipment. It's making feel better. I love how you said that. It's like, giving people longevity and, more value to their life. So yeah, you did.
Simon Sinek's whole start with why. And it's the why behind what we're doing. We talk about this at our team meetings before we start every week. It's like the why behind what we're doing is look at the impact we can have on a family. And we've had the cases in here, and I've seen, a lot of chiropractors who wear shirts that say expect miracles. And there's people they were suffering and now they're not. And they couldn't go on this trip and now they can, or they're looking to retire, but their spouse is hiking and doing all this fun stuff and they can't. It's like, that's what we're doing. And our vector, our our vehicle for it is chiropractic care. And I think that's just, to your point, it's about building that story and being people.
So Doc, you open up your doors, you start doing basically all the groundwork you can possibly do. You're sponsoring things, you're going to different events, you're trying as many things. Just worth noting, Meyer grocery store, when they first moved into this market, did basically the same thing, only at a 10x scale from you. I mean, they tried to sponsor everything they possibly could. So, Pete, of those different things that you did, what were some of the things that you saw starting to get traction for you?
I'd say doing a luncheon at somebody's office was by far the best bang for your buck.
Okay.
Yeah, you maybe spend a couple $100 on buying food for a team, but then you had the floor. So to be able to say, hey, let me explain to you why this is so important that you all come see us or seek out chiropractic care, and what can we do? Because if you go to a farmer's market, for example, I'm going to see way more people and talk to more people, and it's not that expensive, but time. And we started to see that as a family, it'd be like, all right, now we have the work week, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're working hours and hours and hours just standing on concrete talking to people. It's like, how can we get better bang for our buck? So the luncheons were probably the best that we found. And then honestly, some of the big vendor shows were not as good as the really tiny, this is a charity fundraiser that's a local, better cause, because we found better target audience there. We saw more families, we saw people that cared about others more, and we found that something right down the road with a church, for example, or a local group, really we got more people that were interested in us succeeding as well. So I think those were our best, which I don't know if we'll get into this, but one of the biggest hurdles we really hit was when COVID canceled everything, which we did quite a bit on.
Right, and let's get into that. So yeah, that's a really good topic. So things are starting to move along. You're seeing progress, and then this little thing called COVID hits. What happens? How was that for the business, and what did you guys have to do, and how did you guys pivot?
Yeah, so we, all of our market, we experimented a little bit with some Google and social media, but barely at all. And then COVID hit, and we said, well, shoot, everything's canceled. We had this really good way of promoting what we do and the longevity message, and now suddenly we can't do anything. So I played a lot more golf, which that was cool, but that wasn't really helping our business at all. But we took our marketing dollars and we very quickly pivoted toward social media. And we said, I don't know this space, but let's learn. And I bought a bunch of books and watched a bunch of videos, and I spent a few months trying to do that myself. And then realized that's a full-time job and wanted to bash my head against a wall enough to say, I'm going to find an advertising agency. And then I've been through a handful of different advertising agencies that just didn't quite pan out the way we wanted it to, because it's expensive. And then the thing that we really ran into was, how do we get quality leads out of this really cold source of lead? They didn't meet us yet. They didn't talk to anybody. They don't know that you can solve their problem yet. They just saw you go by on the scroll of their phone. So we saw a lot of success right off the gate with that. And then it kind of puttered out. We switched companies, saw a lot of success, and then it puttered out. Switched companies again. Theirs lasted a little longer. And now we're kind of, I think past the whole COVID piece of it, but we're kind of experimenting again with another ad agency to see, because their ads seem to maybe show who we are a little bit better. Because your biggest challenge with a cold lead like that is back pain. I can solve it. Now they come in and there was a good promotional deal or promotional rate. So you get a bunch of tire kickers looking for the best deal they can get to just fix their back pain. And I don't want someone to come in for 3 visits. I'll always serve those people, but I'm not going to spend my advertising dollars on someone who comes in on a big deal, comes in for 2 or 3 visits and disappears. I want people to stick. I want them to stay around. I want them to be in lifestyle care and wellness care. So challenging to get off of a lead as cold as I was scrolling by and didn't know who you were.
Yep. So let me ask you, with your social campaign and the way you're viewing social, Pete, are you thinking about you as or your wife as the face of the brand, or how are you approaching that?
Started off that way, but we've tried to shift it to be just the whole team is the face of the brand.
Okay.
A big piece of it too is just my aspirations of as the business owner. If it's all about me, when do I get to go on vacation? So as we build our team, we brought on an associate. Dr. Lonnie has been fantastic. She joined us last September. My wife now stays home with the kids. So having that shift, I'm still in the business, during all working hours right now, but it's like we need to sell the message and the vibe our office puts out and our team and our atmosphere more than just Dr. Pete's a good adjuster, because otherwise they want to just see me and my schedule's already pretty full. I want to fill the practice.
Right. What you mentioned social. Can you get a little specific, Doc, on what things you guys are using that you found success with?
Yeah, so we originally saw most success on Facebook advertising now, and even just the way they've shifted as Meta, but primarily going through Facebook and Instagram. And then our newest assistant that we brought on, she's a little bit younger and knows the whole TikTok world quite a bit. And so what we've been really honing in on is let's get paid advertising back out in the world again, but let's make sure that our organic content is showing what we're actually like, because someone doesn't click on the ad right away. How do they actually see what our office is like? So I think really honing in on not just a lead generation marketing campaign, but also the content marketing. I think that's been gaining a lot more traction, where we can say, well, let's get our own practice members that already come in to follow us and share stuff. Let's ask for Google reviews, because obviously people care about that, and start actually just asking for them, because if you don't ask, they don't do them. And making it as easy as possible to get into our world, and the more we surround them and immerse them in our content. For example, most people don't know that we can adjust your sinuses, and that's really good for allergies and cold season.
Wow.
A lot of people see that.
Didn't know that.
Right. And then you go on our social media and you see me adjusting somebody's sinuses, or Dr. Lonnie adjusting sinuses, and it talks about that. If you're already a patient, you might even refer your family to us, because now and I didn't have to pay for that. So.
Interesting.
You're smart.
Wow.
You're smart. It's like it's the paid and the organic. It's like lightning and thunder. And it's good to hear you talk through how you are viewing social media, because we've heard from some, and we come across it, where folks are like, it's the sell. It's all about the sell. And it's like, well, that's, it's like a great opportunity on social media is kind of what you're talking about. It's like, obviously we all want to sell, we all want the leads, but it's that opportunity to build some value, to organically get content out there. Like you were just saying, who would have known that we also do X, Y, and Z? So I think that's really smart. Are your and I would imagine you've got some great testimonials that you're sitting on. I would imagine it's like some of your success stories, you're probably leveraging the heck out of those too.
Yeah, and we're actually our current game plan for our organic social media content is, let's start not just showing a Google review, but let's get video testimonials from patients. So we just started doing that these last couple of months.
Awesome.
So we're just compiling as much of, hey, here's someone who loves it here. Their family comes in here. We make our atmosphere really fun. So, and my team is fantastic. So the other day, I don't even know what the heck they were videotaping, but they grabbed a patient and they were doing something fun. And I heard the one guy singing. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing, but it's probably great. But then to have hey, let's start showing an adjustment and layer over it the audio and have captions of, when I first started seeing the doctors at Point Chiropractic, I had X, Y, and Z, and now I'm doing so much better, and now I can do this with my life. And just getting people to talk about what's helped them. For example, just to use the sinus adjustment again as an example, I've had people that have come off of their allergy medication by just adding chiropractic. Most people don't even know that that's even in the realm of what we do. Not that I can tell someone to get off their medication with my license, but I can say, hey, we can get your nervous system working better. And just to have more and more people talking about it. I mean, even the little bit we're doing right now is making a difference. And I think if we can just hone in on that, we'll see a big uptick in followers on social media, and then in turn, eventually actual leads. It's just tough when you're brand new. You don't have any money, you know,
Right.
where do I
Right.
put my time and money is so hard to figure out. And with time and experience, you just start to learn where your bang for your buck's going to land you.
One of the things I want to ask you about is how you approach networking. That's got to be a big thing for you, right? You and I met at a networking event, but how do you just kind of think about it, and what's your approach to it?
Yeah, I love to talk. So that, like, my wife and I are really a really good team with this. My wife she does our books and QuickBooks and all that, and she's the spreadsheet person. And I can go talk to a brick wall for an hour. So what we kind of just figured out organically was, if we go to networking events and meet other business owners or people that work for companies that represent them, whatever it is, it gets us an opportunity to just kind of just make better connections in the community. Because even if, we met and here we are on this podcast, maybe someone that listens to this finds, even if it's another chiropractor, I don't care, they found chiropractic, great. Or maybe they went to Raised Grain and got a good beer out of it. Either way, and a mentor put it this way. He said, be the mayor, just be everywhere. And it's not about selling people. When I go to networking events, I'm not saying, hey, how many leads can I get? It's like, I'm not really looking for a direct lead out of a networking event. If I get one, awesome, that's great, because then I can, look at my return on my investment on the networking group. But I want to just make connections, because the more people that know who we are, see that we're a genuine group of people that really just wants to help, it's more of the long-term approach. I'm looking for people to know who we are, so that if there's a referral down the road that you might think of, maybe you'll think of us first. And if not, that's all right too, because then I know more people and can, connect people with you guys and whatever. I just think that person to person, personal touch goes so far to just get yourself out there. It's still just a get yourself out there kind of approach, I think.
See, I was just going to say, and I want to just kind of stay on this for a second. I love your answer, and Pat, chime in on this. It's interesting. I want both of you just to kind of get your perspective. A lot of people have an issue with networking, and I'm not sure if it's the word they're scared of or it's this idea, but I think you're spot on, Doc. I'm like, networking, call it what you want. It's about getting out there and meeting people. And I'll take it one step further. It's about helping people. And it's like, I love it. It's like, we approach it the same way, where it's like, I want to meet with people and I want to somehow help them as much as I can, because you're right. It's like, if I can build my network with good people, you're right. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, in a week, next week, where you're talking to someone. And I mean, it's weird how the world comes together. And I just think it's such an important part of what we all do. And I don't care if you're a chiropractor, if you're in advertising, if you're a lawyer. I just think it's something we should all be doing. And I think your answer is spot on. You go into it for the right reasons. And Pat, you're a great network. I mean, I don't know. I hear that, and I like that answer, because I think some people look at it differently. Would you agree, Pat?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, I was so impressed with Pat. I was impressed with you when we met through networking. I don't think either of us at any point in our conversation, I don't think once were you asking me what services I could buy off of you. You said, how can I help you? And we talked for a while, and I was also impressed with your efficiency in the conversation, because it felt like we talked for an hour, and I think we talked for 10 minutes. And I had this whole list of stuff where I'm like, man, and not that you were doing this on it. So I almost felt, I'm like, I got to help this guy more. Hey, look at all the stuff he just threw my way. That's so helpful. And that really impressed me. And I thought, again, from a networking perspective, I'm not thinking of, well, I really hope these guys come in to see me as their chiropractor. Like, it's not even on my mind, because the way that we were talking originally was just, how can we help each other as, people working in business, just getting to know people. And the more robust your circle of influence is, I mean, how many times have you guys heard where someone's like, oh, they did refer someone to you, and you're like, I'm not even, who was that again? And it's like, yeah, I know who they are. They're great. It's like, man, it's awesome. Just because you connected with somebody.
Right, right. Doc, what was the last book, piece of content you consumed, whatever it may be, about marketing that really had an impact on you?
Never Lose a Customer Again.
Mm.
I'm in the middle of that one right now. Is fantastic. And it's all about the customer experience. And one of the things that I love that he talks about is that customer service and customer experience are not the same. Customer service is reactive, and it's, somebody comes in and they need something, you provide it for them. Customer experience is proactive, and it is with the foresight of all the things that you could imagine could not go perfectly and addressing them right away. And he talks about all the different phases of, new lead acquisition all the way to someone who's going to stay brand loyal. Fantastic. I do all audiobooks because I don't have the energy to read anymore. It puts me to sleep. So I do it while I'm driving on an audiobook. I love that book.
Great, great. Nice tip. Nice tip on that. Pete, you've got a lot of things going on. We're talking a lot about marketing, so you're spending a fair amount of time just understanding that. If you're hiring agencies, you're probably the person who's doing that and researching it. You're okaying things. You've also got a practice to run, right? And oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but you're a dad and you're a husband, right? So
Yeah.
give us the pie chart, Pete. How do you break down your day? A typical day. We understand there's always going to be shifts and so forth, but
Yeah.
what time you waking up at? What kind of routines you going through? Give us the lay of the land.
So pretty much every day I get up at 5 a.m. and then I go to the gym, get my workout in. Otherwise, I will not get it done because then I'm too tired or distracted the rest of the day. Usually get back in time just for the family waking up so I can shower, have a smoothie or something, and talk to the wife and kids for a few minutes. Get into the office at around 8:30. Have our team meeting before the day starts to say, hey, what do we got on the plate in front of us today? What items do we need to make sure are accomplished that aren't actual patient interaction that just need to get done? Get home from work and eat dinner and help the wife put the kids down. And then I used to do a lot more, okay, then get the computer back out, but I'm really happy to say that we've done enough of that where I can actually just spend some time with the kids and my wife after work is done now. On, once a week I go to a networking group. I have a BNI group that I really like, so don't work out on those days mostly because we get up a little earlier. So I'll usually still get up at 5 and then work on my computer a little bit to get some stuff done. And my lunch breaks, I usually, at least 2 to 3 times a week, I'll stop and just be like, all right, let me work on the business versus in the business. Because during patient hours, there's no chance.
Right.
I'm seeing people, and even if I get a cancellation, the amount of time I have isn't enough for my brain to like refocus and go back. So it's like, if I get a break, I'm gonna take the break. Weekends used to be, because we don't have Friday office hours, and it used to be all promoting the business. Now I just lean on the 5 a.m. I get up, get some stuff done before the family's up, and then I can actually hang out with the family.
Two questions I have for you is, not knowing a lot about your industry, if you could briefly share with us, what is the competitive landscape looking like? It's like, are we talking like, yep, it's like law offices, every corner has one. Just paint the picture here in southeastern Wisconsin or wherever your playing field is. What is it like? And then my second part of the question is, if Pat McGovern came to you and gave you $1 gazillion to spend on marketing, I'd be curious, what is it that you would love to be able to do, or how would you put some new dollars to use? It's a challenge. You hit it on the head. It's like, dollars are they're limited and you have to prioritize, but like, what is it like, gosh, I would love to do this or try that? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So competitive landscape is kind of funny. So when we first opened, and I think this answers the question pretty well, we found our space that we're in. There's a chiropractor right down the road, but My wife actually knew him through another office they have from years ago and was like, oh, they're close enough, but whatever. And then on the other end of our parking lot, there's 3 buildings, all connected by one parking lot. And there's a spine center, which I thought was like an orthopedic group. So as soon as we signed the lease, then I talked to another guy who was a chiropractor out in the other end of Pewaukee. And he was like, isn't that where Dr. John is? I was like, ah, shoot, like, I don't know. So I went and we looked it up. So he's a chiropractor within the same parking lot. So we went and met him and he was like, oh, the more the merrier. He's been in practice for a while. And he's like, so many people aren't even utilizing chiropractic. We'll be just fine. So then we get into our space and I turn on my Wi-Fi to, we got that all hooked up and I see another chiropractic name and I'm like, they must be really close because I'm picking up their Wi-Fi. So through one of our adjusting rooms, out the window, I can see into the window of another chiropractor. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not good. Met her. She's closer to the end of her career, which she said she's pretty much full. She's like, oh, the more the merrier. That guy down the road, I wound up becoming golfing buddies with him. There are chiropractors everywhere. But what I found is since we all have a relatively unique approach to how we're adjusting people and what niche we want to be in, we want to be a family practice. The one guy said, I don't want to see kids. If I get kids, I'll send them your way. I don't think enough people are using it to see that really impact us in a negative way yet. And I take the approach of I'm going on a vacation, not this weekend, but next weekend with another chiropractor in town with his whole family. And we got a place in Door County. We're going to go. He's one of my best friends around here. This morning at the gym, one of his associates, I saw him at the gym and we were hanging out and we have an upcoming challenge, a Nintendo 64 game that we both claim we're the best at. We can get together and play. And we're all in the same bubble from school. If we come into the real world after school and we say, oh my gosh, people don't live the same way we do. And there's a lot of chiropractors, but I don't see it as a threat. And even at a marketing event, I'll be right across, another booth has one. It's like, yeah, we'll just be friends and we'll see where the cards land on who comes in to see us. So I think that's been initially a little scary when you're like, oh, geez, there's a chiropractor, I'm surrounded. And it just hasn't been an issue. Yeah. And if Pat McGovern gave me $1 bajillion, how I would approach that for sure, I'm pretty confident in this answer, is I would make sure that our online presence, our social media marketing had a little more love put into it because just from a time perspective, it's hard to find the time. So I would say, let's make sure that we are hammering out content. Let's organize it the right way, make sure our ad budget is proper and that system is as efficient as possible so that we have a source of people coming in. And then I would take our kind of vendor show department. It's one guy right now, but he does all these vendor shows for us. I would make sure that he's out in the community at the right events we want to see. And I would put a team around him too, to say, let's have multiple people at an event, whether it's 1 or 2, but that we can double up on events, because if we can have a great social media online presence and a great boots on the ground presence, intertwine those with how we're getting luncheons and stuff like that, and then just lean on the referral based business from in here, I think we could scale the crap out of this place faster than I could keep up with it if we had the marketing dollars to just make sure every department, or I guess you got your lead funnel. What are all your, everything that feeds the funnel is just flush and it has everything it needs.
We were talking about all the different chiropractors, and you obviously are connected to the community. By and large, when you talk to them about business, do you find that most of them share the same outlook that you do about marketing? Are they not involved with it at all? Where are most people coming from, who are in the space?
It's pretty mixed.
Interesting.
So I have some friends that they're at every vendor show we are at. I have some that are and we in the industry call them screenings. It's like a health screening. You go out and screen people if they're a good candidate. Some are like, I'm never doing a screening again. I don't need it. I hate it. It's too much time spent. I know one guy, he is just almost strictly social media paid ads. I like to spread it out way more. And I think most tend to find 1 or 2 avenues and just stick with what's working. Maybe that's to my detriment that I spread it a little too thin, but I have a hard time believing that if I don't get people in person, that we're not going to get that quality is really going to build from there.
Sure.
But at the same time, the volume from those, it is not always there.
Yep.
So it's like we need the high volume lead source, but we need that big net to catch people that, hey, I saw your ad, then I saw you at the farmer's market, then I saw you at that networking event, and then I saw you here and I still haven't come in. And then my friend told you about it, and I was like, I've seen them before somewhere. I think that touch points. But other chiropractors, some are doing the same as we are, and I'd say most pick one or two and seem to stick with it.
Love it. I love it. Doc, before we send you on your way and say goodbye to you, Kurt and I want to know, all right, we're at our computers all day long. We're hunched over. You must have a million people come in going, hey, I'm hunched over. I don't feel good. What are the things you should be doing since we're all at our computers all the time, right?
More beer.
See, Kurt, I told you it was going to be beer.
I like them.
I'd say the one thing that is probably most important would be to make sure you set a timer every 20 to 30 minutes to just stand up. And if you can't stand up, at least do the opposite of what you're doing. If you're sitting there looking over a computer, stretch back, lift your head up, take a big deep breath in, and just get your body moving. Movement is life. The more stagnant we are, it's just real bad for the system. And this is, a plug for my profession, but you brush your teeth, you floss, and you go to the dentist. And most people are pretty consistent with at least two of those three things. The same goes for your spine. Like, there's no way to take care of your spine better than to see a chiropractor. And it's not all the same thing you'd see on YouTube and on TikTok of twist, pop, crack, pulling people's heads off and twisting. There's so many different ways to adjust. We primarily adjust with an instrument where there's no twist, pop, crack at all. And some people respond better to that. So we do it this way or that way and we customize, whatever. See a chiropractor. Whether it's periodic and you go once or twice a year to you've got a more intense lifestyle and you see them more frequently, it is becoming an epidemic of nervous system disorders because the spine is collapsing, because all of our society now is sitting on tablets, we're sitting on cell phones, we're sitting on computers. We are so closed forward and gravity doesn't stop pushing down. And there is nothing we can do about that except for go live out as hunter-gatherers like our bodies are kind of designed to be, which, well, it's not really an option anymore. How do we lean on the professionals that we have that's their expertise? And I know it's kind of like a bad piece of advice of like, hey, what can I do at home? But it's like, go see one, because when we take x-rays and we see people's spines that are starting to all drape forward and it's getting arthritic, the medical system, what they're telling people is that's normal for your age. And I'm calling BS on that all day long. That is common with age. It is not normal. It is only common because we sit too much, our spines aren't moving properly, and a chiropractor can actually help reintroduce the proper movement and correct those curves. Just fix them. So if you can move well, eat well, see a chiropractor, you're not going to wind up in the place of, well, shoot, I am a mess and now I need spinal surgery, or I'm in pain all the time, or I'm all arthritic. It's a shame how many kids I even see that they're 12 years old and they're starting to get arthritis in their spine and there was no accident. What happened? It's like, well, they're sitting like this all day. And gravity will win. It sees you every single day. So, and cell phone use. I don't know if my camera's going to behave for me. This isn't great. This is great. This is where I see most kids. They're sitting like this. And when you're sitting like that, the curve in your neck should be a C curve this direction. And when you do this, and then layer years and years of gravity on top of that, you're setting yourself up for a pretty rough situation. And I can speak from experience, now that we've been in practice for a little while here, it's becoming more and more rare to see a normal, healthy spine in like anybody. It's terrible. It's good job security for me, I suppose, but it's not what I want to see out of people. So the more you can move and stay upright and not let because your ear hole should be right over your shoulder. The more it starts to fall forward, the worse it gets.
Yeah, interesting. Dr. Pete, this has been great. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. You've got the final word, sir. How do people find out more about you? How to find out more about your practice? This is your time. Take it and run with it.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much for having me. And I think this was a lot of fun, so I appreciate it. To find us, you can go on npchiropractic.com is our website. You can find us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is just at North Point Chiro. And we have a lot of really great content on there. So keep an eye out for events that we do in office. That's another thing I guess I forgot to mention that has been huge for us too, from a marketing perspective, but we do internal events in our office where we set up, hey, we'll provide lunch, come in, we'll talk about how to read nutrition labels, we'll talk about how to do better with your posture at home, just how to combat the daily stress that we put on our bodies. So if you see one of those events, they are at least as of now, always free and have lunch provided. That's a great way to come check us out and see what's it really all about in here and how do you take better care of your spine, your nervous system. But get on our website, poke around a little bit, lots of good resources and information, health articles, ebooks, and then on our social media, we're working on that right now to build that up a little bit, but we try and keep good relevant content and showcase that our office is fun, friendly people, and it's not just a come in, get on the table and get out. We want to take good care of you and your family.
Awesome. Dr. Pete, thanks a lot for being on the pod. That's a wrap, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Take care.